People are leaving Barcelona, notably Ansu Fati and potentially Andreas Christensen. Probably not, though. And Nico Williams drama has been going on. Pablo Torres probably leaving as well. We're going to talk about all of it today. And also, PK has entered the fold. We're going to get into kind of the news that we've been seeing from Barcelona just because there's a lot going on. There's also not a ton of football to talk about or watch. Yeah, we could talk about Fluminense versus Bayern Munich that's going on right now, but I'd rather talk about Barcelona and everything's going on with us. So, I figured, let's get on here. Let's chat, especially about Ansu. I think he, at the very least, deserves a conversation here on the second channel, but probably a whole story of him on the main channel at some point because it's kind of a sad story, right? I'll go to my bookmarks here on Twitter and we can talk about it in a moment, but he is almost certainly set to be joining Monaco, AFC. I think it's AFC Monaco, something like that, very soon. And that means, I mean, his story isn't fully over, but let's see. This is some other things. Here's Ansu Fati. The option to buy value in Monaco deal is 111 million. So he's going to go to Monaco, likely with them, I would assume, covering most of his salary, considering they have a decent amount of backing there, and that they can just really cover that. It's not really a financial issue for them. Hopefully they cover most of the salary. They probably won't cover all of it, but so that'll take a lot of it off the wage bill, probably open up a room there for Nico, and Lamine Yamal got a big pay grade, so they're going to have to make space for that. But again, they're clearing out the books as well without having to pay the likes of Messi and Piqué and Jordi Alba and Busquets, all those guys that deferred their wages back in the day. They don't have to cover any of those wages anymore. So that is nice to see, and everything here. But it is, it's a little upsetting, right? We've seen Ansu have a really long history here with Barcelona, and I don't know. You guys have seen me make videos about it in the past. I'm going to pull up some of his stats. We're going to kind of talk about a little bit more of his time here at Barcelona because he deserves it, a conversation, kind of a realistic conversation of kind of what he contributed to the club and kind of what we remember. So I'm going to go to FBref here. We can look at some of the stats here if you guys can see it. Okay. I think you guys can see this all right, but let's go to domestic leagues. This will be a little bit clearer for you guys. So he played, 5 years at Barcelona, or is this 6 or 7? That's a lot more time than I think, but yeah, before the league winning season with Xavi, he hadn't played more than 24 matches, and he has never started more than 12 in the league for Barcelona. That's kind of crazy to me. You know what I mean? Considering it's a player that has been talked about so much, that has been, this highlight of so much, a lot of it was expectations on him. And I think that's what a lot of it was for a very long time. Like, yes, okay, in 11 starts, he scored 7 goals, assisted 1. A lot of them were really good finishes. Like, he overperformed his XG by almost double in his first season at Barcelona. Same thing in his second season, even though he was injured. Same thing when he came back from injury again, right? 4 goals on 1.3 XG. That is one thing I remember him more than probably anything, is just his ability to convert chances. But it hasn't been that way since at all. And a lot of it is just him not getting opportunities. But we've, at least in the league here, if you're just looking at these numbers, 7 goals in that league winning season with Xavi, but I remember he was barely used. I think I vividly remember a lot of these goals, or a couple of these goals, came right at the end of the season after Barcelona had already won the league, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, 7 goals on 9.1 XG, 2 goals on 3.4, 0 on 0.7, 0 on 1. Not the greatest sample size by any means, but that's a lot of his story, where it's a lot of him giving us like little glimpses of something, little glimpses of hope, little glimpses of excitement. But because of his injuries, it was never really much more than that. And it's hard to see. And it is sad because I do remember as a fan the excitement that he brought. But outside of that, he's kind of had a very average time at Barcelona, and a lot of it is just being unlucky with those injuries and everything. But it is more than time to leave, and he's still, what is he going to turn 22 soon? Yeah, he's 22 and 241 days, so he's on his way to turning 23. And that gives him a lot of time to kind of figure something out and figure out where his position in world football will be, if that's, as a mid to higher table team in Ligue 1, or maybe a mid-table team in the other top 5 leagues. Who knows? But I don't think his position is at Barcelona. I don't think it's at a club making 14 million or 10 million euros a year, gross. He's going to be making probably a lot at Monaco, and they don't get taxed. It's a tax haven for high earners over there. So, good for them not having to deal with any taxes. He'll make basically double what he makes at Barcelona, even if he's paid less. But I think his story is done at Barcelona. I don't know if they're going to buy him for 11 million. I think that's a pretty decent value for a player who's still young, and that's not a ton of money to risk, especially for Monaco. We'll see. I think they would probably buy. It's not like a requirement. It's not an obligation to buy. They don't have to. It's just an option to buy at the end of the loan deal. So you see here from Rashad, beginning in July. Official announcement beginning in July. So they're going to get to it at some point, but just the way football works, we know of it already. And then that kind of leads me into the Pablo Torre news, where I think they agreed personal terms with Pablo Torre already, and it's going to be a full, permanent deal, but there's going to be a buyback clause, allegedly, and they're going to have 50% of a future sale. I've seen conversation about the buyback clause, but I'm not sure of it just yet, but I think that's a very good move for him. I want to look at his stats as well, because I think he got a little unlucky, didn't really get an opportunity. He didn't get an opportunity for Barcelona last season or 2 seasons ago under Xavi when they won the league. Really, we saw him a couple times, but yeah, only played 144 minutes in the league, no goal contributions. And then last season at Girona, I kept waiting to talk about him, waiting to have an option to have something to talk about for a video. Obviously, these youngsters provide very good opportunities for me to make content on, because I like to help inform people about who they are. And I think I like, just things like that. And he just never gave me anything to talk about, really. See this, 26 matches played, 4 starts for Girona. Yes, they had a very good season, coming in third. You'd expect somebody to get a little bit more game time than that. Only played 700 minutes in the league. He was basically ignored the entire end of the season as well. And if you show that to Eric Garcia, who was basically a mainstay in that team and then helped become much more of a piece in Hansi's side this year, it's a big difference. You see for Girona here, he played, 30 matches, started 30 matches for Girona. He actually scored 5 goals. That's incredible. But he was a really core piece in a very exciting team. Not the best defensive team, but played a lot of football for a decent team in La Liga. And that really helps you develop, right? I think that's important for a lot of these youngsters. I'm really glad Eric Garcia got out and did that, because I don't know if he would have been the player that he was this season. Now, this year for Pablo Torre, 10 matches, 4 starts, only played 300 minutes, but he was able to get 3 goals and an assist. I remember he was just a weapon from free kicks, from corners, from things like that. He was an absolute stick, and that's great to see, but just didn't get game time. And of course he didn't, right? He's got Dani Olmo, the 60 million euro signing, ahead of him. Rafinha's playing centrally sometimes. Dani Olmo is coming inside and playing. And then, I already said that. And then you have Fermin as well, right? So you have at least 2 guys ahead of you. Sometimes Gavi played up there. Pedri played up there at the beginning of the season. And so where's this kid going to fit? And nothing's changing. Obviously, if the deal's going through right now, they aren't looking to sell Fermin Lopez, which I think is a really good sign. I can't fathom letting him go. He just bleeds Blaugrana in a way a few players do in this team, and that's great to see, but he just has something that Dani Olmo doesn't, and I feel like they complement each other well. I feel like we can play both of them together at times, and I think that's really cool. And Pablo Torre, I think, is also great. He's still very raw, has not gotten game time. Now, for Girona last season or Barcelona, it's time for him to go and find that. Mallorca is, I believe, let me just go back and check. Mallorca is the team to get it. Now, I do want to pull up Mallorca's squad, but RCD Mallorca, when I think about their lineup, I just basically think of their strikers. Who is it? Budimir? Do they have Budimir? But yeah, they have tall strikers. Oh, Murici. That's who I was thinking of. Mojica, the fullback. Samu Costa, who's a defensive midfielder. He's good. But yeah, Kyle Larin, too. He's the big Canadian guy who's more of a, you just send it up to him, a hold-up man kind of thing. There's a hole here. There's a spot here. Tony Lato, defender, Don Prats. Yeah, sure. But yeah, I see a hole here where he can definitely get some minutes, definitely contribute, and hopefully even start game in and a game out. And that's great. Yes, it is a full transfer. And I saw something, I don't see it now. I might be making this up, but a potential buyback of 30 million which is a lot. But then again, having the 50% of future sale helps a lot. Let me see if Rashad talked about it at all recently. There's a lot of talk here about a lot of stuff going on. Nothing here more about Pablo Torre. I think it's a really good move for him. Overall, he just hasn't really gotten a fair shot anywhere recently. And Mallorca, I think, is a different place where we've seen enough from him that they will risk something. And Mallorca is a team that they aren't going to come in the top 6. They don't have the money to spend like that. That's just not going to happen. It brings money into Barcelona as well, and hopefully gets some attention on Pablo Torre. Probably not that much, but I think it's a great option for a guy that a lot of fans wanted to see and everything, and that's good. And I can't complain. I think it's similar to what you're seeing with what PK is actually doing. So PK is, I think, a part owner of a team called FC Andorra, who is they play in the Segunda Division, and he's trying to talk to Joan Laporta about negotiating some way for Barca Athletic players to play in the Segunda Division. I believe that's going to be a much higher level than I think they're going to be in the 4th division, or in like a drop down, or in the 3rd division, or a drop down level than the 3rd division, because they got relegated last year. They didn't have a good season, obviously, because 16-year-olds are getting called up, and people are kind of getting phased out of the team in a way that leaves them in a weird spot. But that gives guys like Tony Fernandez, he's been talked about for a while. He's kind of Barcelona's like biggest winger prospect after Lamine. We see Danny Rodriguez talk about, but Tony Fernandez is really that guy as a winger. Guy Fernandez is, I think, his cousin who doesn't play on the wing. I think he's more of a central midfielder, attacking midfielder kind of thing. Danny is good. Tony Fernandez has a higher ceiling from what I've heard, and seeing him get more time outside of Barca Athletic, he's probably, especially with the signing of Nico Williams, with the signing of Barchi, get out of the club, go somewhere else, get more game time, get more consistent game time with a guy you trust, right? PK. Whatever you want to say about PK, I think he has some connection to Barca. He wants to up his reputation there, because obviously he wants to be the president probably one day for the club. Very political. He's going to want to make good moves. I think giving guys like Tony Fernandez opportunities are great. So him going to Andorra on loan, I think, is so much better than staying at Barca Athletic and, occasionally sitting on the bench for Barca and training with the first team. Yes, it'll get your face in front of Hansi, which is great. But we already have Lamine. Danny Rodriguez is on the radar. He's coming. He's always in and out from injury, but Nico Williams is around as well, potentially, hopefully, right? There's more to talk about on Nico, but I think it's a good option for maybe a couple of the other youngsters as well, but specifically him. And we've also seen, we've been losing some of the youngsters, like Pau Prim today, I think, announced leaving the club, who was kind of like the next pivot before Bernal. He was the pivot older than Bernal, who was not supposed to be stepping into the first team, but he was kind of that Barca Athletic guy who was the CDM for everybody, the pivot for a while. Bernal kind of took that spot from him, and I think the peak for Preem was never really thought of as that high. He's leaving, so I want to see these guys kind of get out of maybe the shadow of these guys and get somewhere else, more playing time. That might hurt Barca Athletic. We'll see how that ends up panning out, but I think my main priority right now is getting these guys that are a few steps away from the first team as much playing time against as good of a competition as possible. I think at FC Andorra, that's a good place to be. Now, we do have something to talk about at Nico, because the Nico news keeps going on. Athletic Club fans, bro, are losing their minds about it. Damaged again. They blacked it. Look at this, bro. This is unbelievable. I don't even want to zoom. I don't get it. I don't get it. They freaked out when Inigo Martinez left. I think there was bad blood between Inigo Martinez and I think it was La Real, or I think he has bad blood with the president of either Real Sociedad or Athletic Club. I don't know which one. I think it's La Real, but they are not handling this Nico Williams move out of the club well at all. And I get it. They can't sign other players and everything, but come on. They recently, last night they broke a guy's window, according to Gerard Romero. I overdid that. Sorry, guys. I gotta work. I gotta stop that. I just feel bad, man. It's like they're making the decision for you. Why? not everyone in the same family is gonna have is gonna be a one club man. It's not. It's not like they're going to the team of the regime, the guys that, shut down Basque language and culture for years in Madrid. He's not going there. They're hating. I don't know. There's always been this relationship between Catalan and Basque culture and kind of a mutual respect there. I talked about that in my last video. You guys know that. Why are you so surprised? I don't understand it, man. They're going after this kid. And like with Jean Garcia, I get it more. I do, because he's the direct city rivals, played in the academy, and in the academy, from what I've read in the videos I've talked about him from guys that live in the city, they beat that beef sus. They really go after that. They like make a big story to all these youngsters, like these are our rivals at a very young age. They get it in their heads, and so it's tough. Now, I think he only joined the Espanyol Academy when he was like 16, so it's not like he's been there for a decade or something like that, but still, man, it's not cool. I don't know. It creates more animosity around this team than I would like to see, but realistically, it is what it is, and we'll see what happens. I don't know, boys. It's just bad vibes. I've been rambling for too long. I wanted to get a little news video out for you guys because might as well talk, right? It's the summer. I'm not live streaming as much as I used to, or at all. And I don't care about this Club World Cup. I don't know about you guys. We see some cool games. I'm watching the Bayern match right now, but it's not it for me. Obviously, without Barca in it, we'll see. Maybe I'll live stream if the game is good. But thank you guys for watching. We're gonna keep doing these, occasional videos and everything. But bye Ansu, bye Pablo Torre for now, and hopefully wishing both these guys the best, and maybe they come back one day. Who knows? But thank you guys for watching. And I'll see you in the next one, everybody. Have a good one. Peace.